Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a great show for you. First and foremost, let's talk about the latest with the SGA, the Screen Actors Guild writers strike, and the writer's strike that's happening in Hollywood. I'm going to share with you some of the latest from the mayor of Los Angeles, Mayor Karen Bass. We'll talk about that. Also, big culture conversation. Now that Reverend Jesse Jackson has announced his retirement, what's the future for civil rights? We'll have that conversation later. I'll check in with author and life strategist Marvin Peake to talk about how you can persevere and break through the tunnel of life. And he's going to share with you some of the principles about that and a whole lot more. So stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, and I'm so happy to connect with you for a live show once again. Folks, I am so excited and grateful to be joining you today. Let me just start off the show by saying this, folks. You can plan, but God plans, and guess what happens? Your plan goes out the window. So it's just a happy situation to be back on air, broadcasting live from Los Angeles, to be with you this afternoon. So thank you for all of your continued support for us on the culture as we've been playing some of the best of shows. But more importantly, thank you for your continued support of Black Star Network and, of course, of yours truly. I truly appreciate it. Y'all have been checking in on me and everything. So it's just little life things. Things are happening, but it's all good. It is all good. We are here today, and I'm very grateful to be here with you once again. All right, folks, we got a lot to talk about. First and foremost, let's talk a little bit about what's going on with the Screen Actors Guild writers and the WGA strike, because both of these strikes are happening in Hollywood right now. And, we have started to talking about this as the writers have been striking for over 2 months at this point. And now the Screen Actors Guild has joined the picket lines to talk a little bit about what they're seeing or what they're not getting. Now, if you haven't seen it, there's this viral video of the president of the Screen Actors Guild, actress Fran Drescher. She goes in on talking about what the industry is not doing and the impact that their quote unquote negotiations is having on the rest of not just the industry, but on the labor movement and larger on the lives of so many people who work within the industry, those whose names we may not know. It's not just the actors that are affected by these two strikes. It's also the crew members. It's also the families of the crew members. It's also folks who rely on having these projects done. So I want to make sure that that is clear in the course of this conversation, folks, that it really comes down to people. These are people's lives at stake, right? So if you have writers and writers and actors and crew members and those who projects have stopped, major film projects have stopped, such as Gladiator 2. The second part of Mission Impossible have already stopped production. House of Dragon has stopped production as a result of this of these actor strikes. And Black actors have shown their solidarity, whether you're talking about Issa Rae or Jazz Raycole, or you're talking about Terry Crews. There have been so many people that have said, you know what, we stand in solidarity with one another. And so the Screen Actors Guild is leading the way, and this is a historic moment for both of these unions to be on strike at the same time against the major studios, the major streaming services, and it is causing a real disruption in Hollywood. They are already forecasting that billions of dollars will be lost as a result of these strikes. But let me share with you very quickly what the mayor of Los Angeles, our mayor here, Mayor Karen Bass, what she had to say about this whole situation, because this is affecting the livelihood of Angelenos as well. So let me go to what Mayor Karen Bass had to say. She said this, excuse me, in a statement yesterday. She said, quote, Los Angeles is experiencing a summer of struggle to make ends meet, excuse me, in all industries, education, hospitality, goods, delivery, or entertainment. Angelenos deserve fair contracts. She said, whether you're a writer who has been on strike for more than 72 days, or an actor who has been on strike for 72 hours, wages and health benefits to afford housing, food, and the basic necessities to survive should be a minimum requirement in discussions. A strong business sector is essential for our city to become affordable for working families once again. This is an historic inflection point for our city as our entertainment industry experiences economic pressure and business uncertainty. A fair and equitable solution must be reached. If you live in the city of Los Angeles, if you are working in the city of Los Angeles or in the outskirts of, if you're in LA County, you understand that this actually has a real impact on people's lives in a very, very big way. So this is not just talking about multi-million-dollar actors. This is talking about writers. This is talking about performers. This is talking about crew members who rely on the industry. And let me just say this very quickly, folks, before we take our first pause here. Don't think that everyone is getting paid millions of dollars. As a matter of fact, a lot of crew members and even some actors, but I'm gonna say crew members, are getting just a little bit. They might be making 60 or 70,000. And now you might say, oh, that's not a bad deal. But if you're working on a film that's garnering 100 million plus 200 million, or they break box office records, now a film is considered to be really successful when it hit the $1 billion point, which a lot of films have done. Over $1 billion have been made. And yet you have people who are working on these films that we come out to see, shows that we tune into, that are making just a little bit. And I'm saying in the city of Los Angeles, folks, you might think, oh, well, $60,000 or $70,000 is not a lot of money in the city of Los Angeles, especially if you have a family to support. And is it really unfair to ask for more money when studios have already garnered so much money from the project, from the talent, from the creativity, from the hard work? Is it really hard to ask for? Is it really a problem to say, hey, look, we'd like to get some money on streaming? Because some of these actors, for example, one of the big points for the SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, SAG, is that, we're in the era of streaming. And so where actors used to get residuals on, the replays of their work, of projects, of films and TV and all of those things are getting cut out of the picture because of the new streaming business model, that you pay an actor one time and then that's it. And you can stream their shows, you could stream their movies in perpetuity. So there are a lot of things that are being discussed, a lot of things that people are saying. And, we hope that as Mayor Karen Bass said, a fair and equitable solution is reached in this whole situation. But the city of Angels is hurting right now. The city of Angels is hurting right now, and the industry is hurting as a result of these two, of all of these forces not coming to the table and resolving this issue. So we stand in solidarity with SAG. We stand in solidarity with the WGA to make sure that they get what is due to them, and they are making sure that they're just not at the table, but they're also eating well. All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, the big culture conversation, now that Reverend Jesse Jackson of the Rainbow Push Coalition has decided to call it quits, or rather retire, and has decided to kind of move on and allow new leadership, many people are wondering what's going to be the future of civil rights. I want to get your take on this, crew. Join me in a conversation as we discuss this issue. You can join us on our YouTube page under Roland Martin. Post your thoughts and share your discussion points as we talk about the future of civil rights after Reverend Jesse Jackson steps down. Stay with us. That conversation is up next here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA, and this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation, you and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together, so let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. All right, here's our big culture conversation that I wanted to have today, because I'm sure, and Brother Roland's talked about it, and we've been talking about here on Black Star, you've heard the latest about Reverend Jesse Jackson has decided to retire. You know, the good brother has been battling Parkinson's disease since that diagnosis back in 2017. And so his health is you know, I know part of the reason he decided to step down from the work that he's been doing for well over, I mean, he's been in the work for years, 50, 60 years, is part of because of his health. And so, you know, he has made that announcement that he is going to step down and move to the side for new leadership. Now, NBC News put out this piece about it, just to kind of share with us where Reverend Jesse Jackson. And let me just say this about, and I want to kind of be clear on certain things. Like, you may not agree, or I may not agree with all of the tactics or the strategies of a particular leader. But I think we can all agree on this, that when you talk about certain Black leaders, such as Reverend Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, if it's the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, or whoever, and you talking about those men and those women who have been on the forefront of justice, of liberation for our people in this country, that it takes a lot. Not a lot of people are built like that. Let me just say that. It's easy to talk about what they have done, the things that they have tried to do. For example, Reverend Jesse Jackson, he ran for president twice back in the 80s. Y'all remember that, right? If you remember that time, I remember that time and the excitement around his candidacy for president. But it's easy for you to be like, oh man, he's old, or he's this, or he's that, he's no longer relevant. All of those things. But the point is, he has dedicated the majority of his life to doing the work of civil rights, humanitarian work, social justice. And so, you know, as I'm talking about some of those who have laid the path, those elders, I don't want to be disrespectful for the time that they put in, the effort that they've made, right? Because we all should be graded upon the good that we bring into a situation. Yeah, we may not like every single decision that they made or how they tried to get to an end goal, but at the end of the day, I truly, truly believe that like Reverend Jesse Jackson is one of the shining stars of our people, right? Who's been on the front line, who has dedicated himself, who has brought his children into it. That's not an easy task, folks. And then to do that consistently for 40, 50, 60 years, and that's not an easy task, folks. When in today's time, and I'm talking to activists and social justice advocates, when some of us, we lose the steam, we run out of gas after the first 2 or 3 years. Some of us even lose the gas after the first protest. We're like, well, I protested, so I'm going back to work. I'm good now. So that's oftentimes been one of the big issues that I have when we talk about those who have blazed the trail before us. They blazed the trail before us, and they've given so much of themselves. They sacrificed so much time, personal time. They sacrificed their family time. So I wanted just to put that out as the foundation of this conversation, that I wanted to have this discussion about what's the future of civil rights, but I wanted to have it out of a place of honor and respect, because Reverend Jesse Jackson has done some tremendous things. He has opened the eyes of so many people, not just Black people in this country, but so many people. He has brought the attention on so many different issues. He has done the good work. He has done the good work. I don't care about his personal life. I don't care about, I'm talking about based upon the work, the time, the effort that he has put into this thing. All right, let me just talk a little bit about this, folks. So I want to get your take on this, because since the good Reverend is stepping down and retiring and focusing more on making sure that his health and well-being is good, it caused me to ask, well, what's going to be the future of civil rights? Now, the thing about this conversation, this is going to be an ongoing discussion. So it's not about, you know, having the answers at this particular moment, but I do want us to still start thinking about this. So I want to share with you what NBC had to say about Reverend Jesse Jackson, and then also share what Reverend Al Sharpton had to say about Jesse Jackson. Take a look at this, folks. Take a look. And Corinna, I see you. Corinna, my sister, you checked in and said, I love our elders. I love our elders too. I truly love the elders, man. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for those who understand, who have to navigate through the systems and all of the strategy. I mean, you know what I mean? We can't be that type of people, nor that type of generation, that just because we disagree with some decisions that our elders made, we want to toss them to the side and say that they're not valuable, they're not relevant. And guess what happens when we do that and treat our elders, those who have started the work, who have continued the work rather? Guess what happens to us? Our work becomes fruitless. When you show disrespect to those who laid the groundwork for you, then guess what happens to your work? Your work loses its value. Your voice loses its impact. That's what happens. All right, let me share with you with NBC. And Corinna, thank you so much for pointing that out. NBC said that Reverend Jesse Jackson, take a look at this, folks, that Jesse Jackson has helped guide the modern civil rights movement on a wide variety of issues, including voting rights and education. He stood with the family of George Floyd, a memorial for the Black man murdered in 2020 by a white police officer, whose death forced a national reckoning with police brutality and racism. He also participated in COVID-19 vaccination drives to battle hesitancy in Black communities. Al Sharpton, president and founder of the National Action Network, said in a statement that he had spoken to Reverend Jesse Jackson on this past Friday morning and told him that we will continue to glean from him and learn from him and duplicate him in whatever our organizations and media platforms are, because he has been an anchor for me and many others. He has called Jackson his mentor, adding the resignation of Reverend Jesse Jackson is the pivoting of one of the most productive, prophetic, and dominant figures in the struggle for social justice in American history. Big shout out to Reverend Al Sharpton for putting those words out. There's some pictures of our brother. But Drew, talk to me. What's your take on this? What do you think is the future of civil rights? Isaac, you checked in. My man, Isaac Smith, you said very influential leader. His work will stand the test of time. Absolutely. Absolutely. We gotta study him. We gotta study him. We got to study the decisions that we think that took us forward, and some of the decisions that we may not agree with, that some of us may not agree with. But we can learn so much. He's a very brilliant man. I remember listening to him on many occasions. But I remember when I went to the Million Man March back in 1995, folks. And I'm standing there with all of my brothers, my father, my biological brother, and all of those Black men. And Reverend Jesse Jackson came up and started talking, and he was like a professor. And some of the brothers, got a little irritated because he wasn't doing the Mr. Rah, rah, rah stuff that some of us like to hear. Some of us like to hear that. But Reverend Jesse Jackson was always like a professor. He was always like a strategist to understand things. Then I see him in a different circumstance where once again, he came to the front. And he laid down history, he laid down policy, he laid down all of those things to help us to become not just emotional participants in the movement for freedom, justice, equality, and liberation, but he helped us to understand, to connect the dots on where we are compared to where we used to be. Come on, man, we need a voice like him. He always needs a voice like him. Real Brooklyn, my guy, you checked in and said, Farajii, every generation has its Kobe, it's Michael Jordan, Martin Luther, Jesse Jackson, etc. I believe he paved the way for another to follow and continue the work he has started. Absolutely. Absolutely. He was under Dr. King. We know that, right? He was one of the ones that were close to Dr. King, and he learned from Dr. King, and he took from Dr. King. I want y'all to go to, I forgot the name of the documentary crew. Y'all talk to me about this. I'm saying this is probably one of the most influential events in modern day history, the 1972 Black political convention that happened in Gary, Indiana, 51 years ago. Jesse Jackson laid it out. He lit that place up, folks, around the idea of politics. And people would really, it was from 1972 when people started to see him as being a viable candidate for president of the United States. So you're absolutely right, bro, Brooklyn. Thank you for checking in. Robin, you said, I remember when Reverend Jesse Jackson ran for president, I didn't know how important he was until later. He changed the voting rules. It's because of him that we have who we had and have in politics, right? You couldn't have a Barack Obama without a Jesse Jackson laying the path for the idea, the simple idea. Now, you got to remember, Barack Obama ran in 2008. I mean, he got the presidency in 2008. Jesse Jackson was running for president back in 1984 and 1988, right? But the idea of a black man who came from humble beginnings, from the idea of having a black man of his magnitude and his brilliance running for president, and how that idea started with him. It didn't start before. So for those of you who think he was the first black president, yes, he was the first black president, but he wasn't the first black major candidate running for president. That was Jesse Jackson. Now, I don't want to talk about our brother like he's transitioned, but I'm just laying out, I just want us to lay it out the facts, all right? So we can't forget those things. Look, I got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, we'll talk more about this. Folks, what do you think is the future of civil rights? I know some of us are showing love for the Reverend, so I appreciate that. But I want us to think a little deeper. What do you think is the future? Because now we are slowly getting out of the space of looking to one particular leader, one particular person to lead us all. We're getting out of that space. And I recognize that we aren't a monolithic people. So what's going to be the future of civil rights? We're going to continue the conversation on the other side. So stay with me. Still got a lot to discuss here on The Culture, right here on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com.
For decades, the tobacco industry has deliberately targeted Black communities and kids with marketing for menthol cigarettes. It's had a devastating impact on Black health. Tobacco use claims 45,000 Black lives every year. It's the #1 cause of preventable death. In the 1950s, less than 10% of Black smokers used menthol cigarettes. Today, it's 85%. Menthol cools and numbs the throat, making it easier for kids to start smoking. Menthol also increases addiction, making it harder for smokers to quit. Menthol cigarettes are a big reason why Black Americans have a harder time quitting smoking and die at higher rates from smoking-related diseases like cancer, heart disease, and stroke. It's time to stop Big Tobacco from profiting off Black lives. An FDA ban on menthol cigarettes will improve Black health, save lives, and protect future generations from addiction. Learn more at tobaccofreekids.org/ban menthol.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We've been talking about Reverend Jesse Jackson, that news that he is planning to step down from his work as being the leader of the Rainbow Push Coalition and the work that he's been doing for civil rights and social justice for many decades. And now I'm just bringing up the question, what do you think will be the future of civil rights here in this country. I shared with you just some words from Reverend Al Sharpton about how Jesse Jackson has been his mentor, and that we should continue to glean and learn from Reverend Jackson for all the work that he has already put in over the years. But I want to hear from you, crew. Join us in the conversation. You'll post your thoughts on our YouTube page under the name Roland Martin, and post your thoughts as we talk about this issue. All right, let me go back to what y'all are saying. Willie, I like what you said, bro, and I'm glad that you're back with me today, Willie. Willie, you said, my man Willie Frazier, you said the future of civil rights seems like the past of civil rights. As our leaders become ancestors, the racists have renewed the fight to take away the little progress that was made. Time to step up. Oh man, Willie, that's a lot, bro. And I really, really appreciate you for posting that, because I think you are hitting the nail on the head that some of the great gains that Reverend Jackson has pushed for, we're starting to see the rollback in. And this is not a new strategy, folks. You see what I'm saying? This is not a new strategy. Those who are served as the enemy of our rise, whether they're in blackface, whiteface, whatever the case may be, but those who you are trying to stop us from making the progress we need to make in this country, they know that we have this adoration, this love, this this idol worship, quote unquote, of Black leadership, to expect that everything is going to come from their hands. And so the playbook is, okay, if this leader, if we can't kill him, then we try to assassinate his character. We'll talk about what he's done behind closed doors. We'll talk about his marriage issues and all of that. So the people will have less faith and trust in that person. And if that doesn't work, then we'll try to diminish his work. If that doesn't work, we'll try to water down his work. You see what I'm saying? And we can't go for the okie doke today, folks. We can't. And the moment we turn our eyes off the prize, and I'm going to your point, Willie, the moment we do that, the moment we get distracted with other stuff, whether that other stuff may be, the moment we do that, the moment things start to happen, policy starts to get rolled back, the progress, the way for us to move forward, it starts to be stunted. I mean, things start to happen. Things start to happen. And this is why I said what I said at the beginning of this discussion of Reverend Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, anybody that you deem to be a consistent voice for Black people, anyone that you respect as being quote unquote Black leadership, you've got to have that level of resolve to not be bought, not to be sold, not to be distracted, not to be taken off the beam, taken off your block. You got to stay focused, man. That's the time we're living in. That's the time we're living in. So to your point, Willie, we have to step up. We got to ask ourselves, am I willing to step up? This is not about Reverend Jackson or any other Black leader. This really is a test for us, because he did his work. He did what he could do, right? But now the responsibility, the burden lies on us. Do we go and start looking around and seeking other people? Okay, who's going to be the next Reverend Jesse Jackson? He gone. Or do we become the next one? Instead of looking on the outside, we tap in on the inside and become the next voice. All right, let's keep going. Willie, my man, I appreciate you. Janelle, my sister, you say conservatives trying to turn back time should be putting the urgency of advancing civil rights top of mind for everyone. Hopefully, Reverend Jackson's goal to include all people expand. We need the numbers. Absolutely. Absolutely. But again, Janelle, you know, they go to the same playbook. They go to the same playbook. So if we're talking about, making sure that people aren't talking about civil rights. Look, you can't talk about civil rights, human rights, social justice if Black people of America is not a part of the conversation. I said that before, and I'm gonna keep saying it. That has to be a huge part of the discussion, because we have been impacted, we have been affected the most and for the longest. And other people have been affected, no doubt about that. But we have been suffering the most and the longest. All right, let's go back to folks. Karen, my sister, thank you, Janelle. Karen, you said, Karen Connor, you said Farajii, while they are still alive, Reverend Jackson, Ambassador Young, and all other architects of the civil rights movement should identify and mentor the leaders of tomorrow to keep the legacy alive. Karen, let me tell you something, sister. There ain't enough time on this show. There ain't enough time on this show to talk about that point, because I'm a huge advocate of that. You don't have to, quote unquote, you could say passing the torch. Just open the door. You see what I'm saying? You shouldn't be like, well, they got to come up the same way that I came up. That's silly. That is an absolutely insane strategy if we're talking about the liberation of all people, of black folks in this country, or the liberation of disenfranchised and marginalized people of this country. You don't just block off the next generation so they can go through the same pain, the same madness that you went through, just for you to prove the point, like they can, if I did it, they can do it too. No, you're supposed to make it a little bit easier because you're preparing them for the next set of struggles, because the next set of struggles aren't going to be like the struggles that you overcame. They're going to be different. But why would you, and Karen, I never understood this, why black leadership, it's like gatekeepers, man. And I've had this conversation for years. I've been doing this work for a long time, folks. I've had this conversation for years about black leadership or black folks being the gatekeepers, whether it's in media, whether it's in politics, whether it's in any industry, gatekeepers. And this is the stuff that holds us back. Some of these black leaders worried about getting more, the next person getting more shine than them. And please, I just was born yesterday compared, you know what I'm saying? Like I just got here. And look, I don't care about, whatever God has for you. And I tell this all the time, whatever the path that you've been blessed to be on, that's your path. That's not my path. So you can't interrupt my path, because my path has already been laid out for me, like your path has already been laid out for you. So it's silly for us to get into these little territory wars and conversations. All right, let me go to a couple more. I appreciate y'all for checking in. Let me see here. Let me get some new crew members that haven't had a chance to share their thoughts, because I love my legacy crew members. I'm gonna call y'all OG crew members, because y'all been with me since the beginning. Who else? Tiana, my sister, you said all my years of living in Chicago, I only seen him once, and he is a tall man. Well, sister, I don't know if that's to say that he's not present, or if he's just so big that that he just I don't know. But you know what I'm saying? Like, if that might be something that somebody else can fill the gap for. If Reverend Jackson missed some places to do the great work that he was called to do, then guess what? That's when we step up, Tiana. If you say, well, I didn't see him that much in Chicago, okay, granted. So are the people going to see you? And I'm not saying that to throw shade on you, Tiana. That's not my spirit. I'm just saying that's the spirit that we got to have, that the places that our leaders don't cover, we cover down on. Y'all hear me on that? The places that our leaders haven't covered or don't cover, we as the people cover down on. That's all I'm gonna say on that. All right, let me get one more here, because we gotta take another break. Let me see here. Let me get here. Let me conscious thought very quickly. I know my producer, she like, let's go. Let me get this very quickly. Conscious thought, you said the Reverend Jesse Jackson had foresight. He saw beyond just the day or the moment and saw a future that he could have only dreamt of, living history. Well, look, I don't know about you, conscious thought. I'm tired of talking about the dream. I'm tired of talking what could possibly be. I'm tired of talking about the vision. I want to make all of that a reality. And I know you do too, bro. I know you do too. And I'm glad that you brought that up. He had foresight. He continues to have foresight. We just got to tap into him. Okay, he might not be in a public space, but privately, I would love to sit down and just, and I think one of y'all, I think Real Brooklyn, you made this point, like just to sit down and just learn from him, drink from the fountain that he drank from, and just learn. And so that way that I can be inspired, or the next group of folks can be inspired, whoever. But we got to have those private conversations and keep that line of communication open, because I don't want to, this fight is far from over. And so we need to make sure that whatever elder has gone through this process, that we keep the line of communication, first to give them their flowers while they're living, but second, to as Sharpton said, glean from them, learn from them, drink from them, understand all of the pitfalls and the strategies, and understand how to move and navigate through all of this stuff that we're seeing. Because guess what? None of this that we have experienced over the last 25, 30 years, there are some nuances, but fundamentally it's still the same struggle that Reverend Jackson was a part of years ago when he was starting, or Reverend Sharpton was a part of. This is the same struggle, folks. The same struggle. We just got to get some new soldiers on the front line. And guess what? We're going to step up. I know I'm planning to step up, and crew, I want you to step up with me. I'm not looking for one voice. It needs to be a chorus of voices now for us to cover down, because we can cover more ground together than we can individually. All right, folks, we got to take another quick pause. When we come forward, we're going to be checking in with Marvin Peake, author of the book Out of the Tunnel, to talking about how you can break through in your life and to really live the life that you want to live. Stay with us. That conversation is up next here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Pull up a
For decades, the tobacco industry has deliberately targeted Black communities and kids with marketing for menthol cigarettes. It's had a devastating impact on Black health. Tobacco use claims 45,000 Black lives every year. It's the #1 cause of preventable death. In the 1950s, less than 10% of Black smokers used menthol cigarettes. Today, it's 85%. Menthol cools and numbs the throat, making it easier for kids to start smoking. Menthol also increases addiction, making it harder for smokers to quit. Menthol cigarettes are a big reason why Black Americans have a harder time quitting smoking and die at higher rates from smoking-related diseases like cancer, heart disease, and stroke. It's time to stop Big Tobacco from profiting off Black lives. An FDA ban on menthol cigarettes will improve Black health, save lives, and protect future generations from addiction. Learn more at tobaccofreekids.org/ban menthol.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
An angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate Black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
right, folks, welcome back to The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, make sure y'all tune into the first hour of the show when we talked about everything from the actors and writers strike to talking about the legacy of Reverend Jesse Jackson and the future of civil rights. So be a part of Team Replay. You can check us out on YouTube and, of course, on blackstarnetwork.com. And, of course, we are streaming live right now on Amazon News. But we want your participation in all of our conversations. You can go to our YouTube page under Roland Martin and join us in the discussion with my illustrious culture crew as we have these conversations. All right, folks, I wanted to shift gears. As we talked about leadership with Reverend Jesse Jackson, let's talk about how you can break through your life with perseverance and purpose. And this is one of the great missions that my next guest is on. He is a brother who serves as an author. He is a life strategist. He serves as the ambassador of peace. And he has been in many places. But before he'd been in all those places, he had experienced severe poverty. He has experienced homelessness. And so he's here to talk about his new book, Out of the Tunnel. And he's going to be doing a book signing at the Grove here in Los Angeles next Tuesday, and a book signing. And it's going to be an opportunity for you to connect with my very, very special guest for today, Brother Marvin Peake. Marvin, thank you so much for joining me here on The Culture on the Black Star Network. How are you, brother?
I'm grateful, dear brother. Thank you so much, Brother Muhammad, for having me on. I'm honored.
Absolutely, absolutely. First and foremost, I think that you have a very, very powerful story about how you have gotten to the place that you are. You are an international world thought leader. You are seen as a life coach, a strategist. You are an author. You are someone that has been successful in business. You've been in a lot of spaces, but your story is very inspiring. Talk to us a little bit about your humble beginnings, brother.
Brother, you know, like many of us, I come up in the hood, the hellhole ghetto of America, where there's drug-infested, crime-infested, gang violence, every kind of illicit, uncomfortable, if you will, lifestyle for a human to exist in. I had family. They were there. They could have given me a home and a meal and know where I'm going to sleep every day and every night. But as I look back on it, dear brother, I realized that it was a gift. And what was a wounding during that time turned out to be a preparing for me. It was a schooling that allowed me to build up resilience. There's a book that's out there, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Well, when you come from beginnings like that, there's something innately in all of us that comes out that forces you to achieve, to succeed. And I got a PhD street on survival. So when things were difficult for me, I found a way, an innovative way to survive. And so, you know, it doesn't come with a manual, someone actually holding your hand and showing you the way. You do have people in your life extremely blessed that will guide you along the way and give you step by step how to deal with it, but nothing comes with a manual. So I had to learn this on the fly. I learned from the pimps in the Navy, the gang leaders. I learned from even those that were mistrustful to their families and women. Learn what not to be. I grew up building a resilience, a determination. I athletes, leaders. I would see someone like Michael Jordan, and regardless of what his life was off the court, I saw a man who got on that court and refused to lose. I saw him take his team on his back. And if he had to get every rebound and score every point and fight to the end, that is what he did. I used to box, and my coach took me to meet Sugar Ray Leonard. And I would watch him and I would see him fighting hard. Whenever it looks like he was up to go out and go down, he would dig a little bit deeper. So when I saw figures like that, I began to model, because success leaves clues. And I took clues and I applied it to what was already inside of me. And I continued to move. I've envisioned myself having a life. I knew that my circumstances at the time was just temporal, that there's something on the other than this if I continue to move forward, continue to hold fast. I thought I was going to be a professional athlete. I didn't drink or smoke, and because I could play ball and I could fight a little bit, they left me alone. They thought there'd be something great coming out. So dear brother, I use that, and I got a PhD in the street. And then one of the things that I learned on the street too was developing my visualization. There was a night I had nowhere to go, and it was like the coldest night in America to me. And I used to go into a building and go and sleep through the night and come back out. I didn't want to get eaten up by the rats. But this particular night, the building was locked, and I had nowhere to go. So what I did was I pressed myself up against the wall of the building. I looked up at the sky, and I imagined that it was like a comforter, and that comforter was there keeping me warm. And then I imagined that there was a fire, a blazing hot fire. I used my duffel bag that I had my dirty, smelly clothes in as a pillow. And I laid there on that ground and telling myself that I was now hot, burning up. Now, here I am, a little kid, but I'm using imagination as we do as children. We have imaginary friends, imaginary places, and that sort of thing. I was imagining myself being warm. And then I started to feel little sweat beads on my head. I got through the night telling myself that I was warm, hot. The next day, I go and visit a friend at a barbershop. He said, Marvin, he said, can you stay after my shift? Yes, sir. After the shift, we walk out to his car. He opens up the trunk, and he pulls out a brand new coat. And I knew I was onto something. I didn't know what to call it at the time, but I knew something about imagination, about visualization. If I keep doing that, it can actually physicalize. It could bring the physical equivalent of whatever I am thinking, whatever I'm feeling at the time. I didn't have the title for it. I didn't read any books, and no one told me that. This was something that came from the suffering in the street. So I used that suffering, that pain, that struggle to survive, that when I became old enough to go out and fend for myself, to be independent and self-sufficient, I then transmuted that experience and that training into success. I went from being homeless, living in severe poverty, struggling, suffering, into untold amount of success and financial resources.
Wow. Look, Brother Marvin, I'm listening to you. I'm hearing the passion. I'm thinking about that moment of visualization that you just described, brother. Incredible, absolutely incredible. I got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, Brother Marvin, I want us to dig deeper into your story, talk a little bit about the book, and I know you got some things that you want to share with our watchers today to put on their heart. And of course, inviting people to come out to your book signing at the Grove here in Los Angeles next Tuesday night. So we got a lot to still cover with our special guest, Marvin Peake. Stay with us, folks. Join us in the conversation. You can post your comments on our YouTube page under Bola Martin, and post your comments under, share your comments, your questions, as you hear Brother Marvin talk about his personal story, and more importantly, talking about breaking through life with perseverance and purpose. Stay with us. The conversation continues here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We have been talking to author, life strategist, businessman, and just all around inspirational and motivational speaker, Brother Marvin Peaks, who serves as the author of the new book, Out of the Tunnel. He is going to be having a major book signing here in Los Angeles and West Hollywood at the Grove next Tuesday night at 7 p.m., where you can hear what he had to say as he talks about perseverance, when he talks about breaking through the tunnel, getting out of the tunnel, getting out of your own way, and giving us some ways in which we can find ourselves and our life more fulfilling. And again, he's going to be at the tunnel next Tuesday in Los Angeles at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and sharing some more of what he's sharing with us today next week. And Brother Marvin, I have to say, people are checking in, big brother, and they are very inspired by your story. Isaac says your story, he says, reminds me of the story about the victory for Yusef Salaam, who is one of the exonerated 5 members who just recently won his primary on his quest to become the next city councilman in New York City. So sounds like, you are in some good company there. Also, my sister Janelle said she wanted to know, will your book be published as an audio book as well? Do we got you on mute, brother? I think we got you on mute. Hold on. There we go. We got to hear you, man. All right, wait a minute. We still having some quiet. Wait a minute. We're just still having some sound issues, Brother Marvin. Make sure that we can get you this. Can you hear me? All right, we're going to try to get to Brother Marvin's sound just to make sure that it works properly. But Janelle, we're going to make sure we're going to get that question answered for you. Vincent, my guy, you checked in and said no plans with the man, and talking about that's how you quit smoking. You had to visualize it. I call it a mind freak. Yeah, you gotta psych yourself out You got to psych yourself out, and I hear you. Yep, there it is. Robin, you checked back in and said, Marvin's story reminds me of the saying, if you can believe it, you can achieve it. Thanks for giving me hope. Absolutely. Let me see if we can get, we're going to try to get Brother Marvin back in. Folks, again, this is his book. I want to throw this back up on the screen if we can, please, Keenan. Out of the Tunnel is the book that is written by our special guest today, Marvin Peaks, as we talk a little bit about perseverance, talking about breaking through life with purpose and perseverance. Take a look at that. That's the book right there, folks. He's going to be doing a book signing at the Grove in West Hollywood next Tuesday at 7 p.m. And the event is free, and it can absolutely be an opportunity for you to get connected, hearing some things. Especially if you're like in the LA area, LA City, LA County, if you're in the Valley, where if you're close by, you definitely should check this out. Because if you enjoy what Brother Marvin had to say about his personal story, imagine what the things that he has learned can do for your story. That's why, God willing, I'm going to have my face in the place, because I want to make sure, I want to check it out. I want to hear some things, right? Because why? Here's the thing about this, folks. This is something that I've learned very early on in life. You're never too old to learn more, to learn how to live better, right? You're never too old to learn how to live better. You're never too old to learn more about this thing called life, right? We all have, and this goes back to my point about the path that we have. We all have a path. And I think that one of the big issues of our culture, and y'all can tell me if I'm right or wrong with this, folks. One of the big issues of our culture is that we often are discussing and trying to figure out somebody else's path, right? Instead of focusing on our own path. Oh, that's all I'm gonna say. We're focusing on someone else's path instead of our own path, right? We focus on somebody else's reaching their goals, but we're not focused on reaching our goals. We're focused on somebody else's pain and someone else's trial instead of trying to make sure that we are handling the trials in our life in the best and proper way, right? We do. All right, let me just, Nicole, you checked in and said, every now and then Mr. Martin says that there are Republicans that are running against no challenges, so they automatically win. We need a list of those areas and positions, right? Absolutely, and I appreciate you, Nicole, for pointing that out as we talk about the piece on the politics. And Keenan, I want you to let us know when we can get our brother back. Brother Marvin, if you can leave the broadcast, jump right back in. We're going to take a quick pause. We're going to get our brother Marvin back because, Willie, I see you got a question for Marvin, and I want to make sure he's on screen to answer your question. So, Brother Marvin, just check back out, jump back into the show. Folks, we're going to take a quick pause. When we come back, God willing, we'll have Brother Marvin to answer your question, to share more of what he's learned, and of course, talk about his book, Out of the Tunnel. So stay with us. The conversation continues right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, We're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
We talk about blackness and what happens in black culture. We're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We just experienced just a little technical difficulties, but we've been talking to special guest author Marvin Peake, the author of the new book, Out of the Tunnel, and he's been talking to us about how we can break through life with perseverance and purpose and vision and just making sure that we do not give up. And so, Brother Marvin, we want to bring you back into the conversation. There he is. Brother Marvin, thank you so much, brother, for working with us. But I want to say that your story has resonated with my culture crew here today. A lot of people are appreciative to you for sharing it, because there are so many inspiring points. And this is one of the big things that you include in your book, Out of the Tunnel. You talk about how to get through tough times and hard moments. And let me just say this, Brother Marvin. I'm a part of a generation. I'm in between. I think the Generation Z. Yes, I don't know. But they one of the big things that I find to be a real challenge for young people, and in some cases just people in general in our culture, is our inability to persevere through hard times. Like somewhere along the line, and I study human behavior, I love social science, I love history, but somewhere along the line, the ability to persevere, to get through hard times, right? That's a skill. That's not just something that all of us are born with, because some of us, when we're confronted with the struggle, when we're confronted with trials, some of us completely break down. Some of us just go into a damn corner and wish and hope and wish upon a star that some things will change. So how do you get to that skill? How do we tap into that and then continue to cultivate that skill, that ability? Because that's one of the skills that they don't teach you this stuff in school. They damn sure don't teach you about this on the job, right? But this is something that you have to learn, the ability to be able to persevere, to weather through the storm of this journey of life. How do we get to that place? How do we strengthen that, brother?
You know, brother, I said in the first segment that my upbringing and all the suffering, all the hardship was a wounding. But as I grew older, I realized that it was a preparing. See, you know, we have this subconscious mind, and sub means, of course, under the conscious mind. And we've been programmed through our experiences, from our culture, from the environment that we're in, to accept, to condone poverty and suffering and setback. So if our parents and their parents and the neighborhoods that we grew up in, and it's less than desirable, and you don't think that there's anything more, that becomes a part of your makeup. See, that paradigm gets instilled in our subconscious, and it becomes a way of life. See, our brain actually is a chemical producing manufacturing system. And every time we those thoughts about suffering, about pain, about struggle, it produces a chemical that goes down into the cells of our bodies that begins to program. Now, the body itself is a broadcasting system. Our whole body is connected to the earth, which is nothing but a big old magnet. And when we're broadcasting out more suffering, more pain, more struggle, somebody else's fault, our weaknesses, my mama's weaknesses, someone left me, this person didn't do right by me. The more we perpetuate what was perpetuated in our subconscious, the more we're asking universe, God, source, to give us more of that. Now, I didn't know this at the time, but I had to come up with a methodology to eliminate all excuses, because there was no one that was going to save me. There was no one that was going to rescue me. Little Marvin didn't fit in with everybody else. They didn't let me live there. They didn't give me food. I didn't look like anyone else. I didn't talk like anyone else. I'm from hood, but I didn't want to talk like you all. I didn't want to listen to the same kind of music. I want to know your music, but I want to know what someone else is listening to as well. I wanted to broaden my conscious perspective of everything in life. But that was something because I rebelled against the conditions in which I grew up in. That wasn't for me. I saw something greater for me. I didn't know how, but that wasn't important. I just
let me ask you on that. Let me ask you on that, and I'm glad this is an excellent point that you're bringing up. This is an excellent point. At what point in your life did you realize or come to the conclusion that you did not want to be the quote unquote product of your environment, and that you said, you know what, I might be here, but I'm not of this place. You know, I'm not. This is not who I am. This is just where I'm from, but this is not who I am. Was that a decision? Was there an event in your life that served as the tipping point for that level of consciousness for you?
There was a series of events, and because I didn't fit in and people didn't let me live there, my auntie found out that the government would give her a check if she allowed me to live there. So she said, of course, he can come with me, but brother, they put me in the closet. So I didn't sleep in a bed until I went into the military. They put me in the closet and they treated me like Cinderfella. I had to eat whatever was left over, and the clothes I wore was secondhand, third-hand clothes, too big for me. I was a little skinny kid, and I had to do all the chores. And if something went wrong, it was corporal punishment. You blame Marvin. So it was those kinds of things. It was going to school, and they were afraid to tease me because I could fight. We had this thing we call slap boxing, man, and we would slap box for 50 cents, and I'd slap the hell out of people, man, just so I could have lunch and dinner. So you know, and I'm looking at my mom. She just left us a few months ago, and my mother, you know, if she could have done better, she would have. And I'll always honor my mother because she did not force me to live in the conditions that she was coming up in. She actually exonerated me so that I can go out and learn perseverance, how to push hard, how to bust through, how to eliminate all excuses, because again, no one was going to rescue me. I had to shift my thinking of the environment around me and what people were not doing, and focus more on what I knew, what was working. What worked for Marvin, I continued to do it and build upon it and build upon it. And it built something up inside of me that stays with me to this day. I learned something, that comfort is the enemy of growth and evolution. See, when we get too comfortable, we'll sit around. And sometimes we're so comfortable, our parents, you know, the ones that want to take care of us and give us a better life than the one they had. Sometimes they give us so much, we become so complacent that we don't want, we expect someone to do something for us. We become so enabled. Then if you don't give it to me, then it's my fault. You said something earlier today, Brother Muhammad, that we come in as individuals. See, each of us have our own life's curriculum. that was already predetermined. In fact, I dare say, brother, that we are the microcosmic co-creators of God, of the universe, of sources, impulse, intent, and purpose. When you understand that about yourself and that the expression of God is unique in you, then you're unlike anybody else. And I had to accept, and they helped me by not letting me in the fold with everybody. You're different. You look different. You talk different. We don't want you around. So Mama didn't have a choice. So by force, they forced me to succeed. Many of my friends who saw me back then, they look at me now and they marvel like, good Lord, right? You did me a favor, along with my mother, my father, family members who did not take me in. You helped me to live the life that I'm living now, that I can go and share with the rest of the world. I'm saying to every person, all of your audience members and every person on the planet, we eliminate excuses by looking for someone to do for us what we can do for ourselves. When we came here, we were equipped with everything that we would ever need. See, this whole universe and every element of the universe is made up of the same things that we are. There's no different, and there's only one life force. Now, we can spend our time complaining and blaming and crying out about what's wrong, or we can muster the innate power that we're born with to go out there and do it for ourselves, set a precedence for the world, a new standard, a standard bearer, so that others can aspire to live a life of independence, of strength and power of their own.
I'm just letting this marinate right now because the spirit and the passion is there, brother. I ain't trying to disrupt that. Let me go to my brother, Willie Frazier. Let me go to my brother. Folks, he's going to be at the Grove next week in Los Angeles, West Hollywood. I think you're going to see somebody there that you know, Brother Marvin. yours truly. We got to connect, brother, by the grace of the God, bro. We got to connect, right? We got to make this brotherhood real. Let me go to my man, Willie Frazier. Willie said, thanks, Brother Pete, for your contribution. Question, what is the difference between those who get to rock bottom and stay there and those that climb out to success? What's the difference in those who hit rock bottom and those who climb out to success?
You know, I dare say that those who hit rock bottom is in a better position than those who haven't. Because when you reach rock bottom, there's nothing else. There's nowhere else to go, as they say, but up. See, at that point, you have to find just one thing to be grateful for. You have to remind yourself that you come here with a purpose. No one came here on accident. Just think about this, folks, for a minute. Now, when we first, our physical makeup came into this dimension, we were liquid substance, and we were in a hostile environment where millions and billions of other cells pushing and shoving, moving upstream against the force of gravity, but only one can get to that egg, that safe haven. See, and each of us who are listening right now, we are that one. You got a better chance of hitting the lottery every day than to go back and do what you did to get here. Now think about this, man. What taught me about the uterus is that when we got inside of the uterus, we think we made it. See, this would happen to me when I got a little bit of success and I thought I made it. But there is the substances that already live in that environment. They see something foreign come in and they try to push you out. And the intelligence that we had, we attached ourselves to the walls of the uterus. And we stayed there in that environment until we became a part of the environment. And for 9 months, we went through every experience that this new world that we were in called the uterus, the womb. And then after that 9 months, after those 3 trimesters, we come out into another world again. Like, Lord have mercy, we got more stuff to do. But each time we are transmuted into a new dimension, We have learned something from the old that is innately inside of us that carries with us, and that divine intelligence stays in depth to our soul. So everything that we think, say, and do, even if we don't know, again, the how, if we know the why am I doing what I'm doing, then the universe, source, God, starts to work together to produce the physical equivalent of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what your intentions are. You gotta have some intentions. You gotta have vision. And you have to align your emotions and your words with that intention, with that vision. Because the universe itself is nothing but a big Amazon ordering system. And we don't understand that if you're hitting rock bottom, if you're suffering, if you're going through pain and struggle, it's because you're ordering it. The mind itself, we're looking at something that we want. We go and get it, we think about it, we put it into this cart, and sometimes we hold on to it. When it don't feel good, it's not working for us, but we still intend to keep juicing up what's in that cart. We apply everything into it, and then we hit the button for it to submit to us and come to us, and it keeps coming. Well, why don't we use that same Amazon conscious universal system to produce the things that we do want? Let's say we want a new car, a new house, a new business, a new contract, a new relationship. Then why don't we put that into that cart? And why don't we put the feeling and the words behind that cart? See, how it comes into play, into physical existence, that's none of our business. The fact that we're breathing right now, that's none of your business either, because you have nothing to do with it, and you take more than 40,000 breaths a day, and you're not even involved. Your heart is beating, your fingernails are growing. There are things that are happening in us to us and in us by the laws of the universe that does not involve us, but our submittance, our alignment, and our obedience to it. See, once we understand how these things work, we start to use it to our advantage. We create the life that we live. Nobody really did it to us. We had these experiences because our soul was taking us through this so that we can learn about these powers. But I can sit here, Brother Muhammad, and complain about my mother, my family, the environment I grew up in, the rock bottom that I was in, and I can stay there if I choose to. But I choose to live a better life. If I say that I am a microcosmic co-creator with God's intent, purpose, and impulse, then what the hell am I doing here suffering? I don't have the inheritance of God. There is no complaining from Marvin. And I'll tell you this, I don't know if we have time to talk about it, because I've become extremely successful with untold resources, and I lost it. I lost it.
I look, bro. I gotta take another pause.
Yes, sir.
I don't even know if we want people to get all of that, because I want them to come out to your book sign. They gotta say, well, if he lost, then how did he get it back? Well, maybe he should come out to the signing. Look, I gotta take another quick pause. Hear the rest of his story, folks. You gotta hear the rest of his story. That's just the trailer. You gotta go to the full feature presentation to hear the rest of the story. But look, we're gonna take a quick pause. When we come forward, more conversation with author, life strategist Marvin Peake, as he talk about breaking through life with perseverance and purpose. Stay with us. It's the Culture on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us,
speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com.
Big Tobacco targets black communities with marketing for menthol cigarettes. In the 1950s, less than 10% used menthol cigarettes. Today, it's 85%. FDA, ban menthol cigarettes. Save.
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I don't know about y'all. This is one of the reasons why I love doing this show, because we can come in contact with voices and people who have such incredible stories and who offer such tremendous insight in a very, very big way. And it's all good for the culture. And that's the case with my guest today, Brother Marvin Peake, who's the author of the book, Out of the Tunnel. And he's talking to us about his book. He's talking to us about his life. But you can get the full story at his book signing that is scheduled for next Tuesday here in Los Angeles at the Grove, next Tuesday, July the 25th at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And you can come out, pick up a copy of the book, get it signed, hear from Brother Marvin as he talks a little bit more about his story and, more importantly, how we can break through life with perseverance and purpose. And so we've been having a phenomenal, inspiring conversation. And I want to bring my brother back into the frame here, because Brother Marvin, I'm pumped up, brother. You got me fired up just thinking about it. I'm serious, man, because every so often we go through life and it's kind of like on automatic pilot. We wake up, we do our morning routine, we go to work, you know what I'm saying? And we don't think and reflect on life. When we go to the store, we just kind of tunnel vision, right? Speaking of your book, you tunnel vision. I just want to go there. It's like you don't even see nobody else in the store. You don't even know what's going on around you until somebody screams or some big disturbance, right? We get in our car, automatically we know exactly the route we take home. We handle our children and our significant others in an automatic fashion. You know, your children ask, no. Okay, yeah. And it's like we do this day in and day out without actually thinking, without actually taking in the moments to say, you know what was that brief interaction? Somebody asked me about, getting some directions, or I hadn't made eye contact, because I'm in this space now, Brother Marvin. You know, I've been reading a lot of books about taking time to really cherish moments in life, right? When you come across people, like, I have this thing. This is just something personal. I don't know if anybody else do this. If I look at you dead, if you look at me dead in my face, and you say something, a greeting, something, and I look at you and I respond, because I'm going to respond, I automatically feel that there's some connection, right? You're talking about how the universe takes us into spaces, and the universe is always working around us, using people and circumstances as a way to open our eyes about things. So I'm looking at every single interaction. I did that the other day, and when I was talking to the sister, I'm so glad that you said something, brother, because this, and then, whole conversation. And it's like you open up a whole new world because you decided to take a moment to say, well, what was that interaction about? What was that person? Why were they looking at me? Everything okay? And you don't know what type of things are coming up from a person, right? Because each one of us is a book.
Absolutely.
We are booked, right? So when I'm listening to you, brother, I'm thinking to myself, like, damn, man, that's what we got to be on. But we're so caught up in the automatic routine of our lives. And I want to kind of get your take on this very quickly, brother, to break out of the automatic routine. How do we do that? You talked about in your book, Out of the Tunnel. It's the automatic routine of how we go in our lives and how we experience life day in and day out. Is this the tunnel that you're talking about getting out of? What do we do to break out of that unconscious, subconscious way versus being consciously present way of living?
Absolutely. I went from poverty, homelessness, and it's just severe suffering to having incredible amounts of resources. And I actually thought I was king of the world. And then life comes at you. And then I had this experience that went on for a series for a few years, a series of setbacks. And it took me so long to build this empire. And immediately it was just chopping away, taking everything away. And I'm in this experience that I'll talk about it at the book signing that we call the tunnel. And I learned this terminology from Tony Robbins. I traveled with him for years on the speaking circuit, and I'm doing these testimonials all over the world with him. And so I'm on stage and I'm talking to tens of thousands of people, but I'm in this freaking tunnel. And I don't know how to get out because everything that I had done that gave me the lifestyle I had was not working. That pushing hard, that drive, that resilience. And when I got to that place where the brother said rock bottom, I went right back to what you call rock bottom. And that was the gift because I got an awakening. What can I do in this moment to stay in this moment? What can I appreciate in this moment? So I started doing a series of things that led me to the understanding that people have now today called the law of attraction. Now, you have people talk about the law of attraction, the secret, and all of that. But I guarantee you these people came from places they had a mother, father, a grandmother. Somebody gave them something. I don't know if there are many, if there are any other than myself, not putting roses on myself, that comes from the condition that I have and mastered the law of attraction and utilize it to get myself out of the tunnel. I created a 7-day course, and some person at the book signing on next Tuesday at 7 o'clock, I'm giving the course away. It is valued at $6,000. It's a 7-day course on how to visualize, how to use your imagination, how to emotionalize, and how to properly vocalize. Because I always say what we visualize, emotionalize, and vocalize, the universe has no choice but to materialize. When we can align with those things and then use magnetism and then take ownership of our individual life's curriculum and start to express that out into the world, you take yourself out of poverty, out of suffering, out of hardship, out of brokenness, out of sorrow, into a life of complete contentment and fulfillment. I did not know happiness until I came through the tunnel. I had to learn to do things like make my bed every day. As you said, Brother Muhammad, where you see people and you realize there's a connection. I began to transmute everything in the interaction I had with a person as a gift, as a resource, as an energy. And I saw it as, this is money here. Oh, I just beat the light. Someone says, hi, how are you today? Someone gave me a discount on something. And in my mind, in my emotions, in my words, I started using that, transmuting it into the form of money, of wealth. And the more I did that, I set up a system again through my broadcasting out to the universe. And then slowly things started to come. And then it started to pick up a little bit more speed. And then it started to become faster. And then I knew I had something here. I'm balling it up. And I'm telling you all out here, some of these people are my teachers, and I'm grateful for them. I'm thankful for everything they taught me. But they know what I put in that book. They know what I put in my course, but they will not tell it to you. I'm telling it to you. I'm telling it to you so you'll never be able to use an excuse anymore with anybody. so you can be the owner, the master of your own life, and set the terms of how you're going to live. I will give you step by step. You ain't got to give me nothing. Just get the book, because the proceeds is going to charity anyway. But when you get this, and to sell this thing that we're selling it for $6,000 is a steal, because everything that I did to get myself out of the tunnel, to restore my life, I put it into this course. So the law of attraction, magnetism, visualizing, emotionalizing, vocalizing, how you use words, how you pay attention to the things that are in front of you, how you interact with that person, because guess what? We all share the same life force, and that person is not just a reflection of us, they're an extension of us. I'll go into it a little bit. I really want to go into this, but I'm going to say—
Hey, I know you do. I know you do, Brother Marvin. We don't have the time, but I certainly wanted to let people get a little teaser from you about what they can expect if they have the opportunity to come out next Tuesday to your book signing. First, I know we got like a minute or so left, so I want to put it out there. Your website is what, Brother Marvin? How can people get a copy of the book if they can't make the signing next Tuesday?
Yeah, you can go to marvinpeak.com. I offer a discount on my website, but you can get it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Hudson. The book is sold in every retail place anywhere in the world. I looked on all their websites, and they're not giving you all the discount. So you can go to my website if you want to get the discount. I have a free ebook there. We're going to select someone to get the 7-day unlimited ultimate empowerment program, a 7-day course of experiential guide to manifesting. You have the opening excerpt. Someone talked about the audio. We have a dynamite audio that's going to come later on. It's going to involve some heavy hitters that you all know. So we have some exciting things going on, but the main thing, I didn't write this because I'm looking to be paid. I'm already paid, y'all. I'm good, right? This wasn't for that. I was divinely manipulated into doing this because a person said to me, you didn't live the life you lived just so you can keep it for yourself. The world is suffering, and the world is going to continue to suffer until you tell your story. And Marvin, if you don't, I'm going to consider you very selfish. Each one of us, as you said, Brother Muhammad, is a book. We all have a story to tell, but it's not just for you. You're not living it for yourself. You're living it to be a standard and a standard bearer of those that look up to you. Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate you. The book is Out of the Tunnel. The author is Marvin Peak. The place is The Grove, Tuesday, July 25th, 7 p.m. here in Los Angeles. Definitely, if you're in the LA City, LA County area, if you're in the San Fernando Valley, the Inlands, Orange County, wherever you are in California, you close by, you want to check this out. It's free. Go to marvinpeak.com for all of the information. And more importantly, let's continue to support our brother. Brother Marvin, thank you for being so good for the culture. Truly appreciate you. Absolutely, absolutely. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. I thank each and every one of you for tuning in. My great culture crew, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's so good to reconnect with you. I want to thank my team. I want to thank Shannon, Joel, my man King Keenan for making it sound so good. And of course, I want to thank Big Brother Roland Martin for the opportunity. Folks, go and support us. As you heard this conversation today, go to blackstarnetwork.com. blackstarnetwork.com, where you can download the app for free. You can follow us on all social media, but we need your financial support to continue to have these discussions like you would never hear from any other space. Go to blackstarnetwork.com. There's all the information on how you can support us today. And again, follow us on social media. Also follow me on social media. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter and Threads. I'm on Spill, but you can all follow me at Farajii. And the real Farajii on Instagram. And I would love, love, love to reconnect with you and more importantly, continue to build our community, our crew online. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. As always, I want to thank you. I want to make sure you invite you to check out Brother Roland at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as Roland Martin Unfiltered will be coming at you. And as always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong, stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we will talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Talk to you soon. Peace.